Welcome and good evening to the Germantown Board of Education business meeting for November the 28th, 2023. We're called to order at 6:05 p.m. If we could all take a moment of silence. Okay, and if anyone would like to speak during the public comment portion of the meeting, we have some forms outside in the lobby, and if you would just fill those out and bring them to our board secretary, Ms. Drulinger here. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Chatham, if you'd please lead us in the pledge. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion regarding the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Oaf, seconded by Mr. Curry. Mr. Drulinger, if you'd please call the roll.
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Griffith?
Yes.
Ms. Ove?
Yes.
Chairman Strain?
Yes. Next item on the agenda is recognition and awards. Mr. Manuel.
So we are here to recognize the planners of our Veterans Day programs, the creative minds and dedicated souls who brought to life celebrations that not only honored our veterans, but also imparted valuable lessons of courage, sacrifice, and patriotism to our students. At Dogwood Elementary School, we witnessed a fun new spin on a Veterans Parade with a family-style tailgate and a full Houston High School Orchestra performance, and a touching display to honor POW survivors. We extend our gratitude, and so if we could have Joelle Dodge and her whole team come on up for orchestrating such a memorable event. Please come forward and be recognized, and we can get your picture. And we know that we don't have everybody who could be here tonight, but we wanted to recognize y'all. So, Joelle, you got one more task. That's to pass out the certificates to everybody who wasn't here. Sorry. Our next school we're going to recognize is Farmington Elementary. Farmington Elementary School also had an incredible program with musical numbers that resonated with respect and honor for our service members. We thank Amy Assad, Derek Brookshire, and their team for their inspiring efforts. Please come forward, everyone from Farmington, administration included. Our next school that we want to recognize is Forest Hill Elementary School. Hill Elementary welcomes special guests from the Houston Middle Band and Orchestra programs who joined the FHES choir to serenade the veterans. And what was special was during their presentation, all the students had practiced the songs together. So there were certain songs where they were all singing together. This event also boasted a flower ceremony and a parade, and we're so thankful to Peter Simons and the many others that made this event possible. Please come forward to be recognized and take pictures. And you have one more job, so put these behind there. You got to make sure that everybody gets their certificates.
And just a minor bit of dancing. We're almost Come on.
Thank you all very much. Hey. Last but not least is Riverdale School. They also hosted an excellent program, or an entire day, in fact. They call it I Love America Day, and it was brought alive by the Riverdale Music Program, including band, orchestra, and choir. Along with the performances, their planning team also arranged an actual parade with a horse and carriage, an armored police vehicle, and McGruff the crime dog. The real joy, however, was that each homeroom was assigned a state, and they sent representatives that were dressed in costumes to represent each state. Aptly named the Parade of States, it reminds our community why Riverdale loves America. We thank Katie Caudle, who could not be here this evening, and Katie Falk for leading these planning teams. Please come forward to be recognized and take your pictures. Riverdale representative. There's yours. I'll give you the whole stack. You can help me. Yeah, I don't know. And you're going to be embarrassed as much as everybody else was?
Okay, here we go. And action. Very good. Very good.
Thank y'all. Yeah. And once again, I can't tell you how special these days are for our students. And this is something that we debated about early on. Because when we were developing the calendar, we talked to a lot of our schools and communities, and they really had a discussion about, should we honor our veterans by being off on Veterans Day? And as we talked to the schools, we realized that someone sitting at home not getting an understanding or appreciation for the sacrifices that people made, that wasn't as powerful as what we actually see happen in our schools. When we bring these individuals into our schools, and the students themselves are learning about their family members. There are many of them that don't have a true appreciation for what their family members have done. So the fact that we got to go around and see all these things happen at the schools, I know the board members were at all different schools seeing these things. It's really special. I think it's something that makes our school district special, is how we honor our veterans. So thank you, everyone who helped plan these incredible events at each of your schools. Thank you very much. We have two more recognitions before we finish recognitions tonight. So, we are going to recognize two individuals tonight, and these are our TSTA nominated teachers. Every year, Germantown Municipal School District selects exceptional science teachers for nomination to the Tennessee Science Teachers Association. That's the TSTA. And they have a Science Teacher of the Year award. This year, we selected one elementary teacher and one middle school teacher, and we are excited to announce this year's distinguished nominees from GMSD for that award. First, and when I call your name, come on up so we can have you stand here and be embarrassed while we read your award. First, Dana Lane. We ask Miss Lane's colleagues what made her an exemplary science teacher, and here's what they told us. Miss Lane's third grade classroom at Farmington Elementary School is a place where science comes to life, sparking curiosity and wonder in her students. Her infectious enthusiasm transforms every lesson into an engaging journey filled with hands-on activities that make learning both fun and impactful. By breaking down complex scientific concepts into digestible, relatable segments, Ms. Lane ensures that each student grasps the material regardless of their learning style. Her ability to connect scientific theories to everyday experiences makes the subject not only accessible, but relevant. In Ms. Lane's classroom, students are encouraged to ask questions, think critically, and explore their natural inquisitiveness. Through her innovative teaching methods, she fosters a space where students confidently embrace challenges and actively participate in the learning process. Congratulations, Ms. Lane. Much. Are we going to be?
Some minor dancing.
Just some minor dancing.
Well, you had time to think, yes.
A little solo. I'll just, yeah.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, our final award goes to Sabrina Martin. Miss Martin, if you would come on up. Sabrina Martin is a 7th grade science teacher at Houston Middle School. She is the epitome of leadership and educational excellence. Her approach to teaching science is not only interactive and engaging, but also serves as a beacon of inspiration for her colleagues across all content areas. As a mentor, Ms. Martin demonstrates exceptional leadership qualities, guiding her peers with wisdom and insight, especially in her role as an interim mentor to her teammates. Her reputation among fellow educators is that of a highly respected and an invaluable asset to both the school and its culture. In her classroom, Ms. Martin maintains high expectations and standards. She creates a learning environment that is not only academically rigorous, but also supportive, fostering a sense of responsibility and achievement in her students. Her influence extends beyond the classroom, contributing significantly to the vibrant, dynamic culture of Houston Middle School, making her an indispensable part of the HMS community. We are thankful what she does every day in the classroom at Houston Middle School. That concludes our recognitions and awards.
Very nice. Next item on the agenda is reports. First with the Tennessee legislative update, Mr. Curry.
Thank you, Chairman Strain. The Special Legislative Committee studying how Tennessee can reject federal funding wrapped up hearings earlier this month. Senator John Lundberg, who co-chairs the Special Legislative Committee looking into the idea, said that based on what the panel has learned during the 2 weeks of hearings that ended on Wednesday, it would be premature to make big changes in the funding streams for Tennessee students. The Bristol Republican also expects the panel's work to continue, quote, well into 2024, end quote, as members seek information from the U.S. Department of Education about rules and regulations tied to the acceptance of federal funding. Quote, my expectation is that we're not going to say no to federal funds. We're not going to kick more than $1 billion back to the U.S. government, end quote. During the hearings, a main source of discussion was school lunches and how much wasted food there was, and how local school systems were able to ascertain how much food went unconsumed or tossed in the trash by students. Today, Governor Lee announced his Education Freedom Program to expand the school voucher program across the state. The current ESA pilot program is limited to qualifying families in Shelby, Davidson, and Hamilton counties. Lee's proposed Education Freedom Scholarship Act would offer 20,000 Tennessee students about $7,075 to attend a private school of their choice beginning in the 24-25 school year. Grants would be allowed to be used at any private school and most home schools. The program would provide state funds to 20,000 of the roughly 1 million school students in Tennessee, regardless of where in the state they live. During the first year of the program, the governor's office says that 10,000 grants will be reserved for students whose family's income are below 300% of the federal poverty level, students with disabilities, and those who are eligible for the Education Savings Accounts pilot program. The remaining 10,000 slots will be made available to any student currently entitled to attend a public school. Beginning in the 25-26 school year, Eligibility for the scholarships would be open to all Tennessee students, regardless of income or previous school enrollment. It is yet to be determined how families at or near the poverty line would make up the difference in tuition and fees at private schools above and beyond the $7,075, or the fiscal impacts at the state and local level with students not currently accounted for in the TISA formula suddenly coming online. According to Private School Review, for the 2022 school year, there were 109 private schools serving 25,820 students in Shelby County. Using the base TISA formula or TISA funding amount of around $7,000 per student, this would be an increase of nearly $181 million in incremental cost in state and county tax dollars for Shelby County alone. Accounting for students currently homeschooled that would be eligible for funding under Governor Lee's plan, it's likely the number could approach $200 million just for Shelby County. It's also unknown what accountability measures will be in place, such as TCAP testing that is currently required under the ESA pilot program, and whether measures such as third grade retention for ELA would apply to this voucher program. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Curry. Next report is the chairman's report. Board members' district-related activities since our last business meeting included the following. All board members attended the Houston High versus Collierville football playoff game and attended the Tennessee School Boards Association's 2023 Leadership Conference and Annual Convention. Board members Curry, Griffith, Oaf, and Strain attended Houston High's National Signing Day event. Board members Chatham and Griffith attended Riverdale's I Love America Day. Board members Curry and Griffith attended the B.O.E Community Leader Breakfast. Board member Curry moderated the How to Serve as Your Board's Legislative Liaison Clinic during the Tennessee School Boards Association's convention. Attended the Houston High versus Collierville regular season football game. Attended the Houston High versus Dixon County football game. Attended the Houston High versus Hamilton season opening basketball games. Attended 2 Houston High girls junior varsity basketball games and visited Mr. Murray's class at Houston Middle. Board member Griffith attended the Tennessee School Board Association's legal lunch regarding Title IX, bullying, and hazing. Met with an Eagle Scout candidate for his Citizen and Community Merit Badge. Spoke at the Houston Middle PTO's November meeting. Spoke at the Houston High PTSO's November meeting. Participated in Houston Middle's Counselor Advisory Council. Attended the Houston High varsity basketball team's game against Olive Branch, and attended the Houston High versus Brentwood football playoff game. Finally, I also attended the Dogwood Elementary cross-country banquet, attended the Dogwood Elementary PTO's November meeting, attended the City of Germantown Education Commission's November meeting, attended the Tennessee School Board Association's Board Chairman Roundtable discussion, and met with Mayor Palazzola. And now for my report. Earlier this month, the board attended the Tennessee School Board Association's 2023 Leadership Conference and Annual Convention in Nashville. During the approximately 3-day-long conference and convention, the board met with school board members from across the state to discuss a variety of issues related to public education in Tennessee, including new laws, best practices for board service, school district communications, and effects of social media use on students. Board members also attended workshops and clinics addressing, among other things, legislation expected to be brought during the upcoming session of the General Assembly and ways to best advocate for school districts. The board also participated in a statewide delegate assembly in which resolutions were passed on several topics, including support for modifying the state's letter grading system for public schools, opposition to partisan school board elections, and support for funding of special education preschool programs. But perhaps the most important part of the convention was a collective celebration of public education. The board heard from a variety of speakers, clinic panelists, community leaders who praised the work of public schools and the benefits public education provides to our students, cities, and the state as a whole. Finally, our board was extremely proud to witness Houston High student Sarah Hockman receive the 2023 Tennessee School Boards Association Statewide Student Recognition Award. That concludes my report. The next report is the financial report. Mr. Jones.
Good evening. You have your financial reports for the month ending October 31st, 2023. Our reporting on the balance sheet, looking at our total assets, liabilities, and fund balance. And the school operating fund, $18.8 million. Federal projects, $781, with a receivable reimbursement due from the Tennessee Department of Education at $245,000. In the cafeteria fund, $1.2 million. Capital projects, $624,000. The health insurance fund, $1.3 million. OPEB trust, $4.3 million. And finally, in the general fixed asset account group, $138.7 million. A few comments on our statement of revenues and expenses. In the school operating fund, interest income is up $179,000 versus budget. The health insurance fund, we had another high month for medical claims, totaling approximately $689,000 versus $408,000 budgeted. In the cafeteria fund, SFE reported a net income of $68,000 year to date. And finally, in the OPEB trust fund, with market declines, we have a year-to-date net realized, unrealized losses on investments of totaling $325,000. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Next report is Superintendent's report. Mr. Manuel.
So we are going to talk a little bit today in acronyms and hopefully give some clarity around some terms that educators like to throw around, and you'll hear state, and it is used in some state accountability measures, although they're changing how they're calculating these. But we're going to be talking about EPSOs. And EPSOs stand for Early Post-Secondary Opportunities, and that can be for both college and career, and it's really how we're preparing our students to move on beyond high school. So we're going to talk about a few of these EPSOs. So really you need to understand that there's three different groups that we're talking about, but sometimes there are groups that fit in multiple classes or courses that fit in multiple of these groups. But they are educational programs where, I said, where students are getting experience before they're moving on. So we have advanced placement, the AP courses, you hear it abbreviated often. And students are taking these courses, but the teachers have to be certificated to teach these AP courses and trained to do that. At the end of the course, the students take an assessment, and how they do on that assessment determines whether they get college credit or not. They're very rigorous courses. The standards are set very high, but that's one of our categories that we're going to be talking about, AP courses. We're also going to talk about dual enrollment courses, DE courses, but those are courses where students are taking college courses at the exact same time that they're taking high school courses. They're getting credit for both. And then the third category are CTE, career and technical education courses. But like I said, sometimes you can have a CTE, for example, like mechatronics, that actually counts as dual enrollment course also. So you're getting credit for both of these. But we're going to talk about how do these courses really help our students? How do they align with our strategic plan? So when we look at these and you think about back to our strategic plan and our mission, we're talking about college level work, rigorous coursework to prepare students for the next level. We're talking about career exploration where they're getting a taste and they can really help determine what they want to be and what they want to do beyond here. But then also we talk about some of the benefits of reducing college tuition once they move on from us. So we're going to hear tonight from some of our ambassadors. And so if you've not had a chance, board members, to interact with some of our ambassadors at some of our speaking engagements, we have 35 of these students, and they are all taking advantage of different things at Houston High School. So we're going to hear some of their perspectives tonight for why they think they like some of those classes. But the student stories, like we've talked about, they have a little more meaning than just looking at statistics or numbers or defining types of courses. So we're going to hear for our advanced placement courses, Jacob Geiser and Kyra Coletta. For dual enrollment, Jim LeJaber and DE coursework. And then for CTE pathways and certifications, we're going to hear from Angela Hernandez and Ava Fisher. And so y'all are familiar with Ava. She's been around a little bit. She's also our student board member. So we're going to start out with advanced placement courses. So when we think about these courses, once again, these are courses where students are taking more rigorous coursework. It's more demanding. The amount of time and studying and the standards are more challenging, but also they have an assessment at the end of the course that really determines whether they receive college credit. We have 27 offerings available for students. So know that this is very rigorous when you look across the state, or very broad when you look across the state and see the number of options that students have. They can really sample things and figure out what they want to study once they leave us. Now, there are other options besides the AP courses that we're actually teaching in the school with our staff. Students can also participate in AP Access for All. So know that there are opportunities, especially with our students at Goal, if they want to take advantage of some of these AP courses. This is a state program where, once again, teachers get certificated, and where it's a partnership between districts for how they can receive these AP credits. But once again, they're taking more rigorous coursework, and there's assessment at the end to determine how they're doing in those AP courses. So to tell us a little bit about their experiences in AP, first we're going to have Jacob, if you would come up and tell us a little bit about your experience with AP.
Yes, sir. So, hello, everyone. My name is Jacob Geiser, and I'm going to be talking about the AP Capstone program. So, that's AP Seminar and AP Research. So, the AP Capstone program centers around the development of papers and presentations, with the courses themselves teaching the skills necessary to perform at the highest level. And I've always held the impression that these courses were incredibly practical. Through them, I've learned a wide variety of skills: how to properly conduct research, how to incorporate that research into an actionable point, how to effectively argue that point, and finally, possibly most importantly, how to eloquently present all that effort. Effort that, I might add, the student will truly care about presenting. These programs encourage the students to explore issues of their own choice. It grants students the freedom to develop the aforementioned skills in an environment where their efforts are directed towards something they have a vested interest in, or are possibly even passionate about. The opportunity to not only put an effort on something personally important, but to also create tangible results out of that effort is valuable, especially to a high school senior, as I've realized applying to colleges. It's one thing to say you're interested in something like psychology, and another entirely to have written thousands of words on the topic. But regardless of what a student does in the future, they will benefit from what these courses have to offer.
And Jacob, don't go yet. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. What are your plans that you're thinking about once you head away from Houston High School?
Yes, sir. So a very large part of my plans is the service academies, so West Point and the Naval Academy.
And so you're in the process of applying for those?
Yes, sir. So I finished all my applications, and I recently got an appointment to West Point and the Naval Academy, and a nomination, and I'm just waiting to hear back for an appointment.
Well, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you.
So next, we're going to hear from Kyra, and Kyra is a junior. Is that correct, Kyra?
Yes.
Yes. So she's just now embarking down that road. So tell us about your experiences with AP.
Hello, I'm Kira Coletta. I'm a junior at Houston High School. This year is my first year taking AP classes, AP U.S. History, and AP Language and Composition. I will start by saying that what they say about junior year workload is true. The schedule intensifies and the workload only grows. With AP Language, I have found that in this class it's the most challenging but also most rewarding class that I'm taking. When I entered high school, I was definitely more on the quiet side. I had my opinions, and I kept them to myself, and I was more of a listener. This class has helped me find my voice and gain confidence articulating my thoughts through writing and speech. One of our daily assignments is to find and share a piece of world news with the class. It allows us to practice having healthy discussions and hear from different perspectives. Another way AP Language has helped me is to foster critical thinking. We obviously write a lot in this class, but unlike previous English classes where we wrote about the author's intent through literature, this class we dive deeper beyond intent and instead analyze an author's rhetorical choices and storytelling. I have seen a tremendous improvement in my own writing since I am drawing more meaningful connections. After high school, my goal is to go be in the medical field. I can definitely see how a class like AP Language and Composition will benefit not only my writing style, but also my way of thinking about issues and working through problems. For World News one day, I listened to a Freakonomics MD podcast about how time affects all aspects of healthcare, from patients to treatment to face-to-face time with doctors. I will be honest, I would have never listened to this podcast if it weren't for this class, but I'm glad that I did. It has made me want to connect more in this way. For any students on the fence about taking this course and are not sure, I would say that it's completely worth it. Although I'm closing in on only my first semester, I already see the effects it will have on me in the future.
Kira, you don't get to go yet. I got to ask a couple questions. Have you thought about taking any APs or dual enrollments next year? What are you considering taking next year?
I really like the AP English classes, so I'm thinking about taking AP Literature. And I really like my anatomy class, so I'm considering taking dual enrollment in anatomy.
Thank you, Kira, very much. Thanks. So, no, not yet. You're almost. I know you're itching. But we're going to hear a little bit about dual enrollment courses. So once again, dual enrollment courses are courses where we have a partnership with universities, and you can see the partnerships that we have up there with the University of Memphis, Southwest, and University of Tennessee at Martin. The difference between these is all along they're submitting coursework and they're receiving college credit for these courses. So you can see, if you go to our next slide, we have 19 different offerings available for dual enrollment courses. You can see all these different courses. So, for example, Kira, if you wanted to take dual enrollment anatomy and physiology, that's one that you could take next year. You could receive a total of 8 credit hours for taking that course. There's dual enrollment art history, audiovisual program, biology 2, algebra and trig. But you can see all the different options, STEM 4, U.S. history, work-based learning. These are all different courses where they are going to receive college credit for these courses. And when they actually go to apply for colleges and universities, they request their transcript to be sent from that college and university to the institution that they're choosing. I can speak from personal experience with my children. Sometimes they received more benefit from the dual enrollment courses because they were actually receiving lab credit for those. I can speak for my daughter, who's finishing up at Northwestern Law School, and she had no intention of taking sciences in her colleges and universities, but she was able to complete all of her science credits in high school because she took the dual enrollment biology courses. And so she received credit for her instruction class, but also for her lab classes too. So it had a great benefit when she was moving on. If we look at other opportunities that we have with Southwest, for example, we have information technology, networking, mechatronics 1, and mechatronics 2. And you can see the number of credit hours that students receive for taking those courses. And with these courses, too, there are also CTE courses, career and technical courses, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. They can also receive trade certifications depending on what they did in these courses. And at University of Tennessee Martin, we have cybersecurity and personal finance, and you can see the credit hours there for those dual enrollment courses. So now we also have a way to promote this. We had 3 of our own educators from Houston High School, Brenda Kinney, the 12th grade counselor, and she's also the dual enrollment coordinator, Monica Thomas, who's the dual enrollment teacher for personal finance and entrepreneurship, and also Chad Uhiron, who's dual enrollment teacher for criminal justice. They were recently in the limelight at the 2023 National Alliance of Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships, and it's NACEP. This national conference, the 3 are working to help other teachers gain the necessary certifications to teach dual enrollment courses so that Houston High School can offer even more of these opportunities for students. Once again, to get the student perspective, Jimla, if you'd come up and tell us a little bit about your dual enrollment experiences.
Good evening. My name is Jemla Jaber, and I am a Houston High School junior. Today I would like to discuss the dual enrollment courses I'm currently taking and the implications that they will have on my college plans. I'm currently taking 2 University of Memphis courses, Human Anatomy and Physiology and U.S. History. U.S. History is a freshman-level college course, while Human Anatomy and Physiology is both a freshman and sophomore-level college course. One of the most rewarding aspects of these dual enrollment classes is that they advance my college timeline. My classes will have lasting effects on my future because they are paving my path towards earlier college graduation and more challenging courses sooner in college. In fact, by the end of the school year, I will have completed half of my anatomy and physiology undergraduate credits, and this will allow me to start on my junior level courses in my first year of college. This provides an advantage for me as it opens up more room for alternative courses. Moreover, these classes are a financially efficient path as I did not need to pay for either of them through the dual enrollment grant that is offered to most students. Additionally, I decided to take dual enrollment classes because I believe that there is value in familiarizing oneself in a college class environment. Engaging in these courses has helped me to find the best study habits for me, showed me how to communicate effectively with the professor, and assisted me in navigating my way through college platforms such as Memphis Canvas and Top Hat. I believe that these qualities will aid me in accelerating my college experience and my current education. Also, enrollment in these courses has provided me with extensive knowledge on topics that I am interested in. As an individual who is interested in the medical field, human anatomy and physiology is my favorite class because every day I am able to gain knowledge in the field I am most captivated by, even though it's difficult. This allows me to understand what a specialized education on one main focus may look like and gives me the opportunity to prepare myself for the future. As a whole, my early involvement in college courses is providing me with a head start in college, many opportunities for my future plans, and how I will approach these ambitions. Thank you for your time.
Okay, you don't get out of here yet. You got to answer a couple questions. So, what do you have planned after this? Have you thought about colleges or universities that you want to go to?
Since I'm already a part of the University of Memphis, I was thinking about pursuing my education.
So
there.
you're going to be a Tiger? Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with dual enrollment. So next we're going to talk a little bit about the career pathways that we have. When we talk about CT and the offerings that we have, just so you're aware, we have 16 different career pathways for students who are trying to really figure out what they want to do around career opportunities in school. And through these processes, when they're taking these different, and I'll read some of these. So if we really group them into three big categories, we have those that center around applied technology. And that's advanced manufacturing, mechatronics, STEM, coding, cybersecurity, and networking. And know that for each of these courses, there are multiple levels with them. So if we talk about the STEM, there are actually 4 different levels of STEM that students are taking. So it's not just the number of courses that we have available. These are the pathways. Around the applied business and marketing, we offer business, accounting and finance, marketing, entrepreneurship, digital arts and design, and audiovisual production. And then finally, in the third category, health and human sciences, we offer criminal justice, health science, human studies, nutrition, and agriculture. And as y'all are aware, our health sciences has grown so much that we have 2 different instructors that have, because we have so many sections of this course for students to take. So one of the things that they can gain while they're actually participating in these pathways are industry certifications. So you can see some of these certifications that they have so that when they actually go into the workplace, that's one less test or assessment that they have to take. So we currently have students that are receiving the OSHA 10 certification, which is around safety and health hazards. We have students that are receiving SolidWorks certifications, and that's around 3D solid modeling software and design concepts. We have students that are receiving Snap-on certification, which is around precision measurement. And then we have certified clinical medical assistants, the CCMA. So know that we have lots of students, and it's grown every year since we've been doing that. But to tell us a little bit about their experience around some of these pathways, first we're going to have Miss Ava Fisher. If Ava, you would come up and tell us a little bit about your experiences. But you can see the numbers of, like I said, certifications that have gone up every single year there.
Hi, everyone. So after taking STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math, for 4 years, I can say with my full chest that I am prepared to enter the world of first-year engineering and college next year. Freshman year, being half virtual, proved very difficult to learn in a class that's focused on being hands-on. However, I still learned important principles such as the engineering design process, which I have carried with me throughout the rest of my high school career. Continuing to build on these principles and engaging in projects, experimenting with various types of engineering, I learned different principles such as the different process that you would go to come up with the solution. My junior year, the class was tasked with redesigning the herpetarium for the Memphis Zoo. This included a field trip where we met with zookeepers, did extensive research on building codes, and the systems required to house the animals. In conclusion of this project, we utilized CAD, which is computer-aided design software, to create our designs for the new building. Because this project was so in-depth, I worked with electrical systems, HVAC systems, animals, architecture, and more. Most importantly, I've learned crucial engineering skills like communication and collaboration, and how to use various softwares, which I will take with me into college next year.
Ava, you don't get out of here yet. What are your plans once you graduate from Houston High School?
I've completed all of my applications applying to various engineering schools all over the country, and I hope to study mechanical engineering.
Congratulations. Thank you. So next, we were looking at the OSHA certifications, and I went by that quickly, I know, where we were talking about how we've grown the number of students that are receiving those certifications. This is something that's really special for us. You can see the number of students that are receiving their CCMA certifications. So this certification involves a combination of classroom learning and practical experience. Students learn various clinical skills, such as taking vital signs, assisting with medical examinations, performing basic lab tests, and understanding medical terminology. So you can see last year we had 20 students that received, or this year, 20 students that received their CCMA certifications. So to tell us a little bit about their experience, Angela, if you would come up and tell us a little bit about what you're currently doing.
Hello, my name is Angela Hernandez, and I'm a senior at Houston High School. Okay, so I'm here to talk about the health sciences program here at Houston, more specifically the clinical internship program. So every week, once a week, I go to Methodist Hospital and I shadow for 3 hours. And this is a really great opportunity to gain hands-on medical knowledge. Most of my peers that are in this program are able to observe medical procedures, aid in medical procedures, and know medical terminology and equipment. This is very important for me to get ahead in pursuing a medical career. Also because at the end of the school year, I'm going to be taking the CCMA exam and hopefully get certified, and I can probably start working in the summer. Also, I'm a part of HOSA, and that also increases medical knowledge for students. Many students are able to learn about potential medical careers, such as phlebotomy, surgery, stuff like that. And they're able to get ahead by knowing what those careers are composed of, common terminology, and they're also able to compete during the state competition. And through that, I competed for 2 years. By the end of studying, I knew most of those careers. Sorry. Okay. So through the hands-on experiences, I'm able to really know what a healthcare profession is made of, because in the classroom it's really hard to know. You hear all those words, but you don't really know what's going on until you're truly there. Also, the nurses and medical professional staff, they're really helpful. Any questions you have for them, they'll answer, and it's very important, or they're very critical to studying for the exam. Okay. As a result, these programs are vital for me to get a head start in starting a medical career because of the extensive medical knowledge learned through HOSA and the clinical internship. Okay.
So I got a question for you. So right before you came in today, you were actually getting to experience. Tell everybody what you were doing right before you came in today.
About 20 minutes before I came in today, I was actually holding a NICU baby. So that was, And the nurse, she even said, not many high schoolers get to do that. So Houston is really unique in the opportunities they give us.
So thank you, and we look forward to seeing what you do next. So for us, I think the thing that we will continue to work on is how can we share with our public and our parents and students that are moving up from middle school to elementary school to the high school to know about all these different opportunities they have. And that's constant work for us. And two, we want to constantly be changing. We want to look at the market in the area and think about what are real jobs, and we want to train students for jobs that don't even exist right now. So no, that's something that we're striving for. So that concludes my presentation on EPSOs. And thank you, ambassadors. Y'all are welcome to stay. If not, Ms. Crowder, if you wanted to help them get out, you're also welcome to leave.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Manuel. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see. Next item on the agenda is citizens to be heard. Mr. Udlinger, do we have any citizens to be heard tonight? No. Okay. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion regarding the consent agenda?
I move to approve all the items in the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Dr. Chatham, seconded by Ms. Oaf, and the consent agenda does include approval of the minutes, revision of policies, second reading, revision of policies, first reading, and miscellaneous fiscal year 23-24 budget amendments numbers 13, 14, and 15. Mr. Uehlinger, if you'd please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Ove,
Yes.
Dr. Chatham,
Yes.
Chairman Strain.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is regarding policy 6.2061, inter-district open enrollment. Do I have a motion regarding that policy?
I move to approve policy 6.2061, inter-district open enrollment option A, I believe.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Griffith and seconded by Ms. Oaf. Is there any discussion?
I'll be glad to give a little clarity on the difference between A and B for the public or anyone who's watching this. So right now we have on the table option A for us. The difference between these two options, and this was based on our discussion during the work session, was charging of tuition and whether we grandfather students in who are already granted acceptance to our school, or whether we started with tuition for everyone. So just so you know, option A, which is the current version that has original approval, or has a first and a second, is different when you look at line 24 and the difference between the two policies. The policies are exactly the same, except for policy A makes this effective starting next school year. Policy B on line 24 has a sentence that says, however, if a student was admitted into a GMSD school as an out-of-district student residing in Shelby County, and the student is admitted as an out-of-district Shelby County resident student for the 24-25 school year, the student shall not be required to pay tuition through the exit grade of that school that they attended. So this policy does not, the current one that we are discussing, does not have that grandfathering in. And that's the difference between the two policies.
Thank you, Mr. Manuel. Any other comments?
I just want to bring up that tuition's been on the table, often on the table, and often on the table multiple years, really since the inception of the district.
Mm-hmm.
And we are finally, I think, at a place where the board as a whole is comfortable with the idea of tuition for out-of-district students. I think what may surprise people as we have these conversations with our community members, there's a lot of assumptions about, first, that we charge tuition to begin with, which we have not up to this point, and second, that we can charge thousands of dollars for the product that we provide, when in fact we cannot. We are required by law to only charge the difference between what we are provided by the state and county and then what is provided to us by the city. So doing the calculations, it would be approximately $500 to $540 per year. So we cannot by law ask for more than that. I just don't want people to think that we're just underselling ourselves, because the product we provide is outstanding and worth a lot of money. People are getting a stronger education here than in many private schools. I would put it up against any private school in this county, honestly. And yet we're doing this so far without charging any tuition until next year. The other thing I like to point out is, as we look across the state, there are other districts, municipal districts, that do charge tuition as well, and have for many years. And people may look at that and go, wait a minute, they're charging a lot more. Yes, they are. That is because per student, their municipality, their city government is giving a lot more per student. So I just will bring up a few examples. Kingsport, their tuition rate, depending on which county you're coming from, ranges from $1,400 a year to $3,300 a year. Maryville is about $2,500 a year. Oak Ridge, depending on the county you're coming from, $3,700 to $8,000 a year. Just some food to think about.
This is something that I've heard from residents for years now. And I understand in the past why the decision was made to not charge, but I think we're at a place where it's time to do so. And we heard from our students tonight, the product that's being offered there is fantastic. I mean, we have students graduating from Houston High School that, they, in theory, could have their freshman year knocked out by the time they leave Houston High School. And so I would put our product up against anyone. You heard from some amazing students here tonight. And so, again, I think they're testament to what Houston High can offer. So to go along with Board Member Oaf's comments, again, we are capped at what we can charge. I don't think we're asking an unreasonable amount. The city does give amount for normal funding, and then the city also contributes with capital funding. And I think that this is not an unreasonable ask of our transfer students to come in and, kind of a sharing of the burden, if you will. But I think we're at the point where this is time, and I'm definitely going along with this, and we'll support this, and appreciate the discussion, the work session. I think we had a very good, productive discussion about this, and I'm glad to see it in its current form and am prepared to fully support.
Just to clarify, so this policy as written does not apply to any children of GMSD employees. And then at least as far as others who live in Tennessee, whether in county or out of county, it's also not going to apply to City of Germantown employees, children whose families qualify for free and reduced lunch, GMSD's public virtual school students, that's goal. And I believe those are all of our categories that are sort of accepted from this policy. I think those exceptions are important and necessary. I appreciate Ms. Fisher's input into it as well during our discussion. I'm not I've always been a little hesitant. Part of me doesn't like the idea of charging tuition for public education, although I do realize that, of course, the city does contribute that additional amount, and we don't necessarily receive that additional amount when a transfer student is with us. But, of course, we don't lose anything when transfer students come. But I think with these exceptions, I think it's covers us and allows for us to continue to keep our enrollment at levels we want to. So with those exceptions, I can support this as well.
As it's been, as it's been previously mentioned, this board has had the ability to make this decision for some time, and as someone who has supported charging tuition during my tenure on the school board, I will say that over the past 5 years, my thoughts about it and the reasons for that support have actually changed. While I do still support it, I think that it is interesting to Vice Chair Oaf's point, to understand why we are able to charge what we can charge per law. And then I think, the fact that a lot of people in the community assume this has already taken place, that was always kind of interesting to me. Having been through 2 election cycles myself, I think that was something that was also a bit of a misconception because some surrounding municipals already do this, but they're different than us. I do also recognize that we as a board, previous boards that is, discuss this. Me personally serving with the previous board in 2019, then in 2021, and there were reasons why we didn't pursue it fully during those times. I'm glad that we're at a place now where it makes sense, and I believe that it does. Per Chairman Strain's comments on the exceptions, those were also needed, especially one in particular, for me to really feel like that this is doing what we're trying to do for the people that are able to do it. I'd like to point out that in the beginning of the district, we still had a lot of non-resident students. And the way that trend, due to the right sizing of our district, the building of an elementary school, and the way people come into our district through transfer and open enrollment as is, that shift has already occurred naturally. There was once 2 years ago, I did the math on if we lose a certain amount of students versus the amount. This is certainly not a moneymaker. I think that's the biggest. We're not about to, fund some major renovation off of $542 per student, and that's the students that this would apply to potentially. So it's as much about being part of the financial investment from a tax standpoint and from a per pupil standpoint. Again, the product, I think, we say that, in the industry, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, we happen to be in the industry of public education. And so educating students that show up, that live in our community is what we do. And we also educate students that come to us through a process of open enrollment. What we have seen is we have less students that are in our district on transfer, but we've seen an increase in interest in those. And it's not that we don't want all the people, it's that we don't have all the spaces for all the people. I think that has been a trend that has continued in a way that makes me want to support this. Again, not for the financial implications, but more for just the support. And I am mindful that there are a lot of families and students, both in district and to us from outside of our community, that spend a lot of time, treasure, and talent supporting our schools. And that if this $540, I had previously, broken it out over the amount of months and what that would look like for a family's budget. As we hear today, the governor talk about moving around tax dollars to go to private schools. I think it's interesting that for $540 approximately, we can have people come to Houston High School or some of our other schools, and my goodness, wow, what a deal that is. This board also, previous board, made a point to cap our lower schools and elementary and middle schools as far as the ability to have certain amount of transfers in our schools, because again, we were working towards right sizing, and there was a point in time when we were anything but. So again, I think the time is right. I think there's a lot of history involved in where we are tonight that is really important in understanding kind of what this is and why we're doing it now. I really appreciate everybody's thoughtfulness. Board Member Curry, I know Board Member Oaf has brought it up in the past, and I appreciate the previous board members that I served with and their thoughts on it, because quite frankly, those discussions at this table and the previous table helped me look at this philosophically in a lot of different ways. And so I'm mindful of that, and that also has brought me, full circle on the why I support this. But I think that the time is right, and I'm thankful for the work that everybody's done to get it to a place that is best for not only our district, but the families that are currently with us and the ones that hopefully will be with us in the future.
I want to thank Mr. Curry for doing the footwork to bring this to us tonight. For me, it was a delicate balance of the desire of Germantown citizens wanting others to financially invest in our district in a way that they are through their local tax dollars, which is understandable, with the concern that the tuition, as reasonable as it is, might be a hindrance to other families who are making the choice to come experience just such a wonderful education we provide. And to echo Mr. Strain, I want to thank Ms. Fisher for her comments on making the carve out for families with free and reduced lunch. That helped ease some of my concerns there and how to balance that well. So that made this easier to support. And just want to thank everybody for their comments and discussions.
Okay. Mr. Drulinger, if you'd please call the roll.
Miss Griffith,
Yes.
Yes.
Dr. Chatham,
Yes.
Mr. Curry,
Yes.
Chairman Strain.
Yes. Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is announcements. Riverdale's Sound of the Season Band and Orchestra Concert is November 29th at the Germantown Performing Arts Center at 7:30 p.m. Black Horse Wrestling Invitational is December 1st and 2nd at Houston High. Mustang Theater's production of Mad Woman of Paris is December 1st through 3rd. Football State Championship game between the Mustangs and Oakland is December 2nd in Chattanooga. The Riverdale Choir Holiday Concert is December 5th at River Oaks Reformed Presbyterian Church at 6:30 p.m. Houston Middle Band's Winter Concert is December 7th in Houston Middle's new gym at 7 p.m. Exams begin December 13th. And finally, the board's next work session is scheduled for December 14th at 4 p.m. And the board's next business meeting is scheduled for that same day at 6 p.m. And at 7:12, we are adjourned.